AFC South, let's talk about it. Cam Ward hype. It is peaking. Titans media was lapping this one up where they asked him about things that he's working on.
What's your plan for the next 5 to 6 weeks before you report to camp and when you gather with your receivers and some of the other quarterbacks and go over things just to kind of refresh everybody?
Just work out, stay in the playbook, and throw the out the ball. So.
Oh, well, at least Titans media has something to get excited about. I feel bad for him a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Cam Ward should be he should be the I guess reason that they want to go into work every day, because
for sure they finally have some reason to have hope. I mean, a couple of years ago for us, I was going to NRG Stadium to watch Texans games, and I specifically remember how Titans fans must have been feeling that Texans-Titans game where it was Davis Mills, and we knew what Davis Mills was at that point, against Malik Willis. Yeah. Oh, boy, that was rough. That was rough for all of us. Shared collective experience for all of us. We could, the Crips and the Bloods could hold hands.
Holding up the two different, one side's holding up the Oiler blue, the other side's the Houston blue.
Hey, it's Titan blue
Titan
now.
Blue.
But
sorry. But yeah, the hope, and because Cam Ward is willing to say stuff. I like CJ Stroud, where CJ Stroud, part of the reason that we were so smitten by him early, the reason that you asked him about bringing a winning mentality, even though they were 0-2 at the time.
Yeah.
That he was so interesting that rookie year is that he actually would say stuff.
He would.
Good guy of the year, enough to be good guy of the year. So Cam Ward seems like he's in the same boat there.
For those who don't understand what Sean was talking about, good guy of the year, the Pro Football Writers of America give out the good guy award to the guy who helps out the media the most, and Stroud won it his rookie season for the entire NFL. Huge honor. Huge honor.
I did assume that everyone knew what this huge honor was.
It's a goofy award. We make fun of it. DJ Bieneme, our guy, is the president of the local Pro Football Writers Association chapter. So it's just funny. I love giving DJ crap about that. We'll see what Ward is. I mean, you could argue the Titans are due.
I'm open to him being good. He's not a guy where I'm just I do not see it at all. This is I can see it. I do think that he's going to have to rein in the turnovers a little bit. They weren't as big of a deal in Miami, more fumbles really in Miami. But when he was at Washington State, and I get it, he was playing at Washington State in the Pac-12 that was really good at the time. So he was outmatched most weeks, but he was throwing the ball all over the place. I do wonder if that comes back now that he's on a team that isn't more talented than everyone that they're playing like they were with the Canes.
They have never developed a quarterback that they drafted. Vince Young, they pulled the plug on. Jeff Fisher wasn't the biggest fan. Jake Locker was a bust.
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota was a bust.
Zach
Mettenberger was a 6th-round pick. Also did not play particularly well when he got his opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, Tannehill's the best one of the recent.
Will Levis, and he was a 100%.
They traded for him.
Titans culture with Mike Vrabel and with their offensive coordinator at the time, Arthur Smith. They got the most out of it.
Yeah.
You could make the argument that the Titans are due. Right. But I mean, Steve McNair is truly co-MVP in the 03-04 season. Yeah. He is the only good quarterback that organization has ever had, unless you want to make a case for Cocktail Collins. I mean, Kerry Collins, the year that they went 13-3.
I don't want to make the case for Kerry Collins ever in life. That was a Chris Johnson joint.
Yeah, it was.
That was a CJ2K.
So they might be due. Continuing to go around the South Side, Trevor Lawrence was asked about the arm sleeve that he's been wearing as everyone continues to freak out about quarterback arm soreness this offseason. Here's what he had to say about the sleeve he's wearing.
You got to think about it. I hadn't thrown before OTAs since December. So, December. So it was about 4 months of not throwing. And that's I don't know the last time. I couldn't tell you the last time I didn't throw for 4 months. I guess 4 years ago when I got surgery. So I think just going from that to I started throwing a couple weeks before we started the off-season program, but then we jumped into practice and heavy volume. And I think just over time, obviously you got to adjust and got to get in shape for that. So just a little bit of soreness. The compression helps just relieve some of that, but that's all it is. So nothing I'm concerned about.
I'm a little concerned about it, though. I think for Lawrence, who I don't think is bad, but I think he's around, as some would call it, the Andy Dalton line as far as like quarterbacks. He's a lot closer to that than a lot of people expected, given that he was supposed to be the next GOAT at quarterback when he came out at Clemson. And a lot of people were like, why did the Jets, imagine where the Jets would be with Trevor Lawrence. Probably not in a much better situation than they are at this moment in time.
No,
they did it. I mean, Zach Wilson stunk, but I mean, hey, Lawrence has been good-ish.
Do you think Lawrence would already have gotten Sam Darnold? And by that, I mean traded
out of town?
If
There's a chance.
In the scenario where he's a Jets quarterback, because if he just has the same exact year, but their chances are less successful given look at the Jets.
Yeah.
They've arguably, actually, no, they've inarguably been worse than the Jags over this time period. The Jags have a playoff berth and a playoff win.
Situations do, I think, have a lot to do with if a quarterback can't succeed, which is why you continue to see Titans quarterbacks going, through the mill. And we'll see if Ward's different. I really don't know. I'm not making any judgment on it. With Lawrence, I'm close to being out on it for the Jaguars. Yeah. I think he could be a serviceable starter across the league for a time.
Could it be like Goff?
I don't know. That's because Goff did reach his potential a couple of times.
Yeah, that is true. I forgot about the when he was good in LA.
Lawrence's swan song. That's premature, but Lawrence's greatest moment was he threw 4 interceptions in the first half of a game and they came back and won that game.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that had to do with the Chargers charging more than it did with Trevor Lawrence and what he is. Lawrence does have all the tools. There's no denying that he has the tools. His accuracy is an issue. Always has been. He sails passes a lot, and his shoulder is now a question mark. So, hey, listen, I don't think that the arm injury is that big of a deal now, but for a guy who I've always wondered about, like his accuracy at the NFL level, I do look at him and wonder, okay, now that he's coming off of that, this likely is not going to improve, So that's Lawrence. James Gladstone, GM of the Jaguars, who's an interesting guy, uses a lot of big words, speaks in LinkedInese. Here he is talking about Travis Hunter. A lot of people are wondering, is Hunter actually going to play both sides of the ball? Gladstone's making it sound like it will happen.
He does not tire. He has got a spark. He has got the energy, the capacity from a physical standpoint, just to be able to do it is certainly there. It'll be in terms of one game to the next. Where does it fit? Where does it make the most sense? Certain game plans might dictate usage differently. So time will truly tell, and I don't know that one game to the next is going to be the exact same, but putting a number on it at this stage is, I think, probably premature. But look forward to seeing how it really plays itself out here and him earning his spot on both sides. Certainly going to be an opportunity for him. Got to take advantage of it here down the stretch.
That first part was interesting. He does not tire. Okay, I don't know if I buy that and how you can have that read on Travis Hunter.
I don't know how you can.
Yes,
that's what I was gonna say. I don't know how you can read into that based off of minicamp. I will say, just like looking at his resume, he does not seem like he's a guy that tires, considering he was playing by far the most snaps out of anybody in college football, and for I guess half those games, a little bit more than half those games, he was doing it at elevation. He was doing it in Boulder, Colorado. So I understand that he probably does have extremely good cardio, but I don't know how James Gladstone knows that based off of not wearing full pads yet in practice.
Also, keep in mind he was in the Big 12. So
that is true. That the wear and tear probably is less going up against Big 12, I guess, offenses and defenses versus an NFL.
His natural athleticism shines, but that little edge, that little bit could make a big difference in the NFL level. Also, wrapping up the South side, multiple AFC South players are on bust watch for a CBS Sports list that was put together. Trevor Lawrence is there. That makes sense. Anthony Richardson already is a bust. It's over.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis, it's over.
It is. It's over in Indy. I agree with you. I think it's over.
And Treylon Burks, remember him? Remember when
what are we watching with this guy?
Treylon Burks, remember when the Titans traded AJ Brown and then they drafted Treylon Burks? And Burks has been hyped up as like maybe being one of the best number 4 wide receivers in the league, like best case scenario. But when he first came into the league, there was just stories about how he was puking at practice. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for guys where it doesn't work out. It seems like he's working hard, but
I always feel bad for guys that get put in the position that Burks gets put in, where
you're expected to replace someone who's awesome.
You get traded, like you're the replacement. Yeah. You're the replacement for AJ Brown. So you're getting, compared directly to one of the best players in the league. Like that is just like, it's tough for anybody because AJ Brown's like a top 10 guy in the league. But to be what Treylon Burks has been so far, I'm surprised he's even on bus watch. I don't know what we're still waiting for.
I'm with you there. I'm with you. That's over. But he's still on the roster.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah, I guess it's not over until it's over.
Most interactive sports talk show in town from the 832. Someone texted in. Funny how Lawrence is going into year 5 of being ass, but not labeled a bust. He's not been ass.
That's the problem. That's honestly the problem, is that he's been good enough to where the Jags re-sign him, because he has been like 20th best quarterback in the league, like 14th to 20th, where sometimes he's slightly above average. A lot of times he's average. He's in that kind of mode, I would say.
They're better with him than without him, but they're overpaying for him. And then this texter continues, and yet Richardson was labeled at year 1. No, not really. He was out for the year very early.
When he asked out.
He looked awesome against the Texans. Last year, when he subbed himself out of a game for a key third down against a division rival, that's when people started to be out. And honestly, if you take a look at the people online, people were making excuses for that guy. The amount of people who were like, oh, you got to treat him differently than everybody else on the roster because he's a quarterback you took early. Unbelievable. Can you imagine an organization operating like that? The Colts were a play away from going to the playoffs CJ Stroud's rookie season. They were a drop pass from Gardner Minshew to that guy. And you got this guy in year 2, a team that was very close to making the playoffs, and he's subbing himself out in the middle of a game. That's why people are looking at him right now as that. They were not looking at it like year 1. And honestly, a lot of last year, they weren't looking at him as a bust, and they should have if we want to go down that route.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that guy's full of crap, that texter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the case for Anthony Richardson is, other than he hasn't played enough football, which was a problem for him at Florida. It's also something you can say about Trey Lance. So if you want to make the Trey Lance deserves more time, I'll also give you that too. I think you have to support both, though. You have to be both a Trey Lance and Anthony Richardson person, because they are so far in their career been more or less the same guy. Actually, Richardson's played more. That's kind of been a problem.